Thank you for joining me. This is the Spiritual Princess, and today I wanted to talk about life after death. I've done a similar video in the past, but something prompted me to want to talk about the steps after we pass away. So the actual steps into the afterlife. So if that's something you're interested in, I'm going to talk about that now. So I sat down with my guides and I asked them to explain to me the steps in dying. Now, I've had my own near-death experience, which I will cover later, but I wanted them to help me understand exactly what happens when we die. So they said the first step is what happens is we separate, obviously, from our physical body. And they said that's very easy to do. And because that's so easy, many people don't know they have died and they will continue as if nothing's ever happened. And I wanted them to give me an example of what that looks like. So they told me it's usually if you're in an accident or where something happens quickly and maybe you didn't see it coming. And I actually have crossed over spirits many times who didn't even see what happened. They didn't even know. They got one was a young guy who got hit by a truck who ran a red light, and he kept showing me a train, but in reality, it was actually a semi that ran a light. And the kid didn't even see it coming. He was T-boned. And I felt the pain of his head hitting the window on the driver's side. And I think he had broken his neck. But anyway, so many of these spirits, people do not know because it happened quickly like that. My guides also said sometimes if the person was sick and then they passed away, that's another reason they wouldn't know they have died. This is why a lot of times our loved ones on the other side will come to you at the time of death. And that is to show you that they're there for support and that you can follow them to the other side. My guides say some spirit people, they won't go or listen to their loved ones because they are in complete denial that they have died. And those are people who will wander for many, many years, and they're trying to make sense of what happened. These are what I call earthbound spirits, and those are the ones that, as a psychic medium, I have to help them all the time. And everywhere I go, they will follow me because they know there's something different about me. And I think my guides are in the background going, come on, follow us. She'll help you. And so I will cross them over. And because I know they've been wandering for many, many years. And it makes me feel sad that they were actually out here in the world wandering around a Walmart or a Target, just, hoping to find somebody that'll help them. So I asked my guides, what happens to the people who maybe are not so good? Like there's people who live a horrible type of life here on Earth, where they go around hurting people or doing crime, or they're just not good people. They're very negative. And my guide said if they did live a life like that of crime and hurt a lot of people, that they will not want to cross over because they believe that they're going to be judged or punished because that's what they grew up. Maybe their parents believed in that in church and things. So they will believe in judgment. They do not want to be punished. And those are the other ones that wander for many years. I cannot even tell you how many spirits I have had to counsel to get them to cross over by telling them about there's no judgment, there's no punishment when you die. If you've done really bad things, and I'll explain that in a minute, but there really isn't. So I have to counsel them, and then they will eventually cross over. But it takes me a bit to really talk to them and try to counsel them. My guides say, for them to wander for years, it's not a big deal because they can't tell how long they have been wandering. So really, it's no big deal to them. So my next question that I wanted them to answer was, okay, we've separated from our bodies. Now what happens? And they said, when crossing over, there is like an invisible doorway. Well, not really invisible, but you hear about seeing the light and things. It's a type of doorway that opens for the soul to enter, and they will feel a pull to go through it. And that's when they can start seeing their loved ones, their friends and pets, whoever they loved and missed. They will be in this kind of doorway, which is in a light, and they're feeling this pull of love and peace and harmony. My guides say a lot of people who have had near-death experiences will talk about a tunnel. Well, this is the doorway, this tunnel, because they're going through different dimensions, which is why it feels like a tunnel. And once they reach where they are going, they then have a reunion with those they shared their lifetime with. This reunion is extremely loving, and it's welcoming to the new spirit. There's nobody upset or angry, even if maybe there were people you didn't get along with when you were living and they had passed. All of that does not exist in the light of the other side. And when I say the other side, to me, it's heaven. But if you haven't listened to my videos, you wouldn't understand what I meant. My guide said after you have spent time being welcomed by the loved ones, that your guides then take you to a room where you are allowed to see your life from beginning to end. This is the review, and you are shown how you could have done things differently or made different decisions and how it would have affected your life. But it's not a punishment at all. It's a way to understand how you affected those around you while you were living, but it helps you grow spiritually to see the truth and the bigger picture of who you were and maybe why you did things the way you did. This is when the soul understands why they were born and the mission they had in that lifetime. Once that happens, there is some healing that happens and takes place, because generally the soul will feel pretty bad about maybe how they behaved, or they're going to have regrets because they regret their decisions when they were alive. So after that healing takes place, then the soul settles in however they are more comfortable. And my guide said usually they create a familiar place, like a home or something that they feel comfortable and safe, where they can be alone for a little bit. They need time to settle in because everything on the other side is different. And it can be confusing for the spirit at first. But once they have completely settled into the new environment, they then start to venture out, and that's seeing friends or family, and they start becoming more involved with what's going on the other side. My guide said most people like having a job to do because they like helping or keeping busy. So many people on the other side will work with animals, and a lot of them will work as counselors to help the souls who had a really difficult life on Earth. My guide said they have a lot of people who visit Earth to spend time around the people they left behind. That is really comforting to them, so they spend a lot of time there. For the young people who passed away maybe before their time. They want another life, so they do make plans to come back so they can have that other opportunity without being maybe sick, or if they were died by an accident tragically or something. But only they can decide if they want another life right away. My guide said, you are never made to do anything. It's all your choice. I have had to cross over teenagers before that have died in a car accident, and there were 5 of them, but they all were eager to go except for one, and it was a girl, and she just couldn't imagine leaving her family behind. And I just kept telling her, you can have another life, or you can go visit them as much as you would like, but you really need to cross over to do those things. And if you want another life, you have to go. And she did eventually cross over, but I mean, it's tough as a medium to see and to deal with young people who have died tragically. My guide said that people living, obviously, see death as a negative thing, but it's part of everyone's journey, because the more lives you have, you evolve spiritually, which is needed. And then they explained to me, it's much like going to school from one grade to the other. You're not the same person in high school that maybe you were in kindergarten. And that's because you learn, you grow up, you evolve into what's meant for you. That's how death works. We're not saying, my guides are not saying, when things get difficult, just come back. That's never a good idea. Suicide won't end what made that person feel like giving up. Instead, you're made to deal with the issues that led up to the suicide. So my guide said it's always best to reach out for help and then go through it here. Help, a therapist can help you deal with this, and you can go through some of the issues while you're alive. That way you won't have to repeat it in another life. Sometimes things are difficult because the person might have karmic debt to pay from a previous lifetime, where that person might have done some really heinous acts. So now, in this lifetime, maybe that person's having a really difficult life or difficult lessons. And it does happen. And I did cover more of that in a video that I had regarding ripple effects. I did talk a lot about that in there. So if you're interested, you can go check that one out. Otherwise, my guides say death is pretty simple, and it's part of the soul's journey. And they also wanted to say, think of it like you went on vacation, and all of these crazy things happened to you while you were on this vacation. Some of the things could have been great. Some of them could have been fun. Some of them could have been horrible. Some, might have made you sad or happy. That's life. We're all on this crazy vacation called life. And then we went back home, meaning the other side, where we could finally relax and we felt safe again and happy again. And then we're not going to forget that we had this crazy vacation. And then we're going to tell everybody on the other side about it. And my guide said they do that a lot. Everybody loves to listen to everybody's stories about their life. So that's what my guides say about the steps in what happens when we die. Now, again, I've had a near-death experience when I was about 19. And it was the craziest experience ever. I grew up in the 80s, so I'm aging myself, but we had water beds back then. And the waterbed had to have a heater. Well, my waterbed heater stopped working. And it was the middle of winter. And like a dumb teenager, I decided just to sleep on a cold water bed with like one little blanket underneath and one over me. But what happened was apparently I got hypothermia. And what I remember is there was these two beings on each, there was one on each side of me, holding me by the arms, and they were flying me upward. And it was so fast, I could hear the wind in my ears. And I was just like, what in the heck is going on? And then all of a sudden, they had me standing in front of this huge light. It was like a huge sun on a horizon, but it was all white and it didn't hurt your eyes. But I wasn't allowed to go toward it. I had to stand outside of this light. And a man came out of the light. And I remember what he looked like, but I didn't know him personally. I'm sure it's probably was one of my guides or somebody else. Could have been Jesus for all I know. But this man was speaking to me in his mind. He never opened his mouth. So everything he said to me, I heard it instantly. And then I, of course, in my thoughts, instantly replied. But I remember him saying, it's not your time. You have things to do in this lifetime. And I kept saying, nope, I am not going back there. You cannot make me go back. And I said, I'm going to go into that light because I could feel the absolute love and warmth. And it's like, I can't even explain it with words. I don't think you could explain it with words. The most beautiful, happiest, loving thing you could ever feel is in this light. And that's where I wanted to go. And he's like, nope, you have this, this, and this to do, and I'm not going to repeat them because I have done most of them. And I was arguing, saying, nope, I'm not. No, you're not sending me. And the next thing I knew, I was like slammed back into my body. Not like a fun little, floating down. I was literally slammed into my body, and I woke up and I looked at my body and my skin was gray. And I jumped off the bed and I freaked out and got in the shower because I was freezing cold. And I cried and cried in the shower because they wouldn't let me stay. Not because I died, but because they made me come back to this freaking crazy vacation we call life, right? Of course, again, I'm only 19. Haven't even spiritually evolved yet into what I am now. And so I didn't understand why I was made to come back, but that's what happened to me. And it was pretty wild. So what happens after you've had a near-death experience, because this happened to my stepdad as well. He got in a very bad car accident and almost died. And once he had his little experience of almost dying, he started seeing spirits, and he never believed that you could see spirits. So that started scaring the crap out of him, because all of a sudden he'd wake up and see people staring at him in his bedroom. Which is why if something like that happens to you and you're a medium and you're a kid and you don't know how to handle it, that's why you've got to learn how to set boundaries and work with spirits, because you're going to have good, bad, evil, you're going to have angels, you're going to have everything. You're going to have to deal with everything. So anyway, once you've had that experience, you're open up to the spirit world like crazy, because they know you've been there and you came back. There's something in your energy that tells them, haha, this person went over there So they know all about the other side. Or maybe it's our energy's different. We vibrate differently. Whatever it is, it's like then it becomes a life of service when you're a medium, because I have to do this everywhere I go. They're spirits. They follow me. They follow my son. They have followed my stepdad. He doesn't know how to handle it, so I've just told him basic stuff if he doesn't want to deal with it, but it's just something good to know. And I hope you got a lot out of this video. Thank you for listening and staying this long with me. Have a great day or night. Love and light.